Lead you, or you kill me. All right, a very good afternoon to all our compatriots joining us from across the world. This Friday, the 15th of August, year 2025. This is the 151st edition of NDLA's Open Forum on X Space. We're glad to have each and every one of you join us this hour. Indeed, we'd like to apologize for our inability to be here last week. It was due to work exigencies. We had a lot of travels and it was difficult to keep that date. But we're glad we're back with you. And so we want to have something that quite a number of us would be benefiting from today or learning gaining quite a lot of insights because we have two great people, individuals who would be speaking with us on our topic for today. That is understanding the nexus between illicit drugs and environmental crimes, exploring alternative solutions as harm reduction strategy. Indeed, like I said, we have two great personalities who will be speaking with us, who will be giving us some insights, and thereafter we'll be having a very interesting conversation, questions, contributions from everyone joining us from across the world this hour. Indeed, Dr. Kemi Odunloyo, a consultant pharmacist, he's been not a stranger on this platform. She's joining us from outside of the country. And right in our studio here, we also have one of the great minds in the agency, Dr. Jonah Kono, who is the coordinator of the NDLA's Alternative Development Unit. With these two of them, I can assure you that indeed you are going to be gaining quite a lot today. And so, once again, we'd like to appreciate everyone joining us from across Nigeria and those joining from other parts of the world, especially our brothers and sisters across Africa, those in the Middle East, Asia, America, and Europe. Like I said, this is the 151st edition of this conversation. That shows how consistent, how far we have come on this engagement. I'm your host, Femi Babafemi. I remain sincerely yours. We are live from the national headquarters of the NDLA, located in the nation's federal capital territory, Abuja. Indeed, this platform is where we share information, knowledge, raise awareness about substance abuse and its devastating impact on human lives, public health, and indeed our environment. And here we are today. We're going to be learning something about the impact of substances, illicit substances on our environment, especially environmental crimes. It was also important for us to let you know that this platform serves as a channel of providing help to those struggling with substance abuse, especially those that need treatment, those who need support. It's called a means for us to update you about all the activities of the agency, especially what we're doing to curb the scourge of substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking, as well as getting your feedback, because your feedback are indeed very key, very essential to us, because they guide us to improve on what we do to serve you, our society, and indeed humanity better. It's important to also let everyone know that this conversation is recorded and is streamed live on our other social media handles, especially at NDLA01 on Facebook and at NDLA TV on YouTube. That's apart from X here, where we are reaching you live on her handle. That's at NDLA underscore Nigeria. You can always go back to this conversation that's on any of these handles and listen to the recording, even share with others. That's very key and important. Before we get our guests to come on to make their presentation one after the other, because we have two today, a great man and a great lady. Before we get to them, to get them to make their presentation, it's important for us to update you about some of the activities of the agency in the past week. That comes in our news highlights segment, which should be taken by a young man who is coming on board with a lot of value. That's Lubem Aena, and then our regular Peace, the pastor. Peace, let's have the updates for this week. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good day to everyone, and thank you for joining us on this week's X-Space. My name is Peace the Pastor, and here are the NDLA news highlights for the week. Headlines. Wanted General Overseer arrested in Lagos for cross-border drug trafficking, as NDLA recovers 3,476 kilograms Colorado loud skunk. Olusho was arrested at his church located in Okunaja, Ogombo Road, Lekki area of Lagos on Sunday, 3rd August 2025 by NDLA officers who waited for him since morning to conclude the Sunday worship service in the evening before moving in on him the moment he stepped out of the church premises. The arrest came after he had evaded arrest twice and fled to Ghana to hide since June, when operatives started trailing him following the seizure of 2 shipments of Ghana Loud, a strain of cannabis linked to him. The first seizure of 200 kilograms of the psychoactive substance was made at Okunaja Beach on 4th June 2025, while another consignment of 700 kilograms of same substance was recovered from his delivery van on 6th July 2025. In his statement, he admitted ferrying the illicit consignment through the waterways from Ghana into Nigeria, adding that he had fled to the West African country to hide after he escaped arrest twice in the recent past. In another operation in Lagos, NDLA operatives on Thursday, 7th August, raided an apartment at Kishi House, 11 Lai Ajayi Bembe Street, Parkview Estate, Ikoyi, where they arrested a suspect, Benjamin Udo. While 29-year-old Nura Yahaya was nabbed at Geza area of Kumboto, Kano State, with 639 blocks of skunk weighing 359 kilograms on Friday, 8 August. Another suspect, Umar Adamu Umar, was taken into custody on Wednesday, 6 August by NDLA officers after seizing 9 kilograms of Colorado, a synthetic strain of cannabis, from him along Zaria Kano Road, Kano. In another interdiction operation in Kano, 20 pills of tramadol and 200 ampoules of diazepam injection were recovered from a suspect, Usman Musa, at Gadar Tamburawa along Zaria Kano Road on Friday, 8 August. A raid at an uncompleted building located at Tudunwada Pantami in Gombe Town, Gombe State on Friday, 8 August led to the recovery of 550,266 pills of opioids, mainly tramadol, while a suspect, Usama Issa, was arrested. The following day, Saturday, 9th August, another suspect, Ibrahim Adamu, was arrested by NDLA officers along Potiskun Road, Bajoga, with 50,000 pills capsules of tramadol. In Edo State, a white Toyota Hiace bus marked YAB 5522K coming from Onitsha, Anambra and heading to Isanlu in Kogi was Wednesday, 6 August intercepted at Ewu Junction, Edo, by NDLA operatives who, after a search, recovered 23,940 capsules of tramadol, 1,100 tablets of same opioid, and 400 ampoules of bentazocine injection, with a suspect, Taye Jethro, arrested. While commending the officers and men of the Lagos, Nasarawa, Gombe, Kano, and Edo commands for the arrest, seizures, and their dexterity, Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, retired, enjoined them and their colleagues across the country to continue with the ongoing balanced approach to the drug control efforts of the agency. That's it on arrest and seizures. Next is the update on some of the weather activities across the country for the week, brought to you by my colleague Lubem.
Thank you. Drug abuse. It is no longer solely the government's responsibility. This initiative brings the message of prevention and recovery directly to the hearts of our communities, from schools and markets to motor parks and places of worship. WADA empowers individuals to drive meaningful change in their environments, shifting the narrative from silence to stigma to support, and despair to hope. Through this ambitious and far-reaching effort, the NDLEA is not just tackling a critical national crisis, but is actively confronting the scourge of substance abuse with unwavering purpose and determination. In line with this, on Monday, August 4, 2025, the Katsina State Command of NDLEA advanced its drug prevention campaign with a WADA enlightenment lecture for students and staff at Sardauna Sandamu Islamic School in Sandamu. The session highlighted the moral, academic, and health risks associated with substance abuse, encouraging students to become positive role models in their communities. Similarly, the Benue State Command conducted a WADA enlightenment lecture for members of the Engine Grinders Association in Boko. This interactive engagement focused on the dangers of drug use concerning workplace safety, productivity, and community well-being, inspiring artisans to embrace healthy lifestyles and promote drug-free environments. On Tuesday, August 5, 2025, the Kano State Command of the NDLEA shared the WADA sensitization message with students and staff at Gwagwarawa Primary School in Nasarawa local government area. The lecture emphasized the importance of discipline, focus, and responsible decision-making for academic success, equipping peoples with knowledge to resist peer pressure. Meanwhile, the Yobe State Command engaged officers of the Nigerian Army to forward organization. Command paid a wider advocacy visit to the Speaker of the State House Assembly. The engagement aimed to bolster legislative support for drug prevention initiatives and called for policies that promote youth empowerment and community resilience in the face of substance misuse. That's your update for this week. My name is Aidan Lubem, and I hand you over to our host, Mr. Femi Babafemi.
All right, thank you very much, dear Anna and Peace. Welcome back from the news highlight segment. Now, let's remind ourselves about some of the rules of engagement here on this platform today. Please note that when we approve you to be on the speaker's corner, you are expected to remain muted until we start inviting individuals to unmute themselves to ask questions or make contributions. Perhaps if you try to unmute yourself, that will definitely affect our process, and so we may likely remove you down to the listener's corner so as to allow the conversation go on smoothly. Please let's follow this simple procedure. We've been doing this week in, week out, and we've been enjoying it. That's what that at the call center, if you cannot speak English or Pidgin, our experts there can attend to you in any of the three major Nigerian languages of Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo. This is part of our efforts to deepen the reach of this service right down to the communities, the grassroots, so that no one can actually have an excuse not to seek support and treatment when they are confronted with the challenge or the struggle of substance abuse. That's what the NDLA is doing to support those in need of support at this point. Okay, let's get to the nitty gritty. We would be introducing our guest speakers today, one after the other. And so I would like Dr. Jonah Kolo to come first. Dr. Jonah Kolo has about 30 years work experience with the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, that is NDLA, where he is currently the coordinator alternative development unit. Dr. Kolo obtained his doctorate degree in soil science from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka in 2019 with a research focus on alternative development. He obtained his MSc, that's Masters and Bachelor of Technology from the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, Bauchi, and NCE from the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, all in Nigeria here. He is a United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes as UNODC law enforcement instructor, a UNODC master trainer of crime investigation, electronic investigative interview, and Managers and supervisors development courses under the project title Response to Drugs and Related Organized Crime in Nigeria. Dr. Kolo has 20 research publications in reputable journals, including Springer Nature in Switzerland, India, Journal of Ecology, West African Journal of Applied Ecology, Business and Applied Sciences, Academy of North America, USA, African Journal of Environment and Natural Science Research, and International Journal of Agriculture and Rural Development, among others. Dr. Kolo has represented Nigeria in expert group meetings and international conferences on alternative development. He has also made presentations in seminars, meetings, conferences, and workshops both within and outside Nigeria. He is a fellow Corporate Institute of Administration and is recipient of multiple awards, including the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Chairman Chief Executive Officer's Commendation and Award. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Jonah Kolo as I invite him to unmute himself now while we listen to him speak for the next 20 minutes on the topic for today, that is understanding the nexus between illicit drugs and environmental crimes, exploring alternative solutions as harm reduction strategy. Please go ahead, Dr. Kolo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Femi Babafemi, for this privilege to be on the space this afternoon. And I want to say a good day to all our listeners from across the globe. This is not my first time on space, but I think this is particularly a great honor to have me feature with Dr. Kemi this afternoon. And I think we have much to do together on alternative development. General Narwa is championing the alternative development initiative in Nigeria, and it may interest our listeners to know that recently Nigeria, courtesy of NDLA, got recognized as the first country in Africa to institutionalize alternative development. And General Narwa is taking some very good steps towards the implementation of the alternative development in Nigeria. So once again, I want to say thank you so much, Mr. Afim Boafemi, as I lead in the presentation this afternoon. And I do hope that my time just starts now. Now, the most important factor that I know that drives people into illicit drug business is the illicit profits that accrue from it. So we are presently faced with a situation where the increasingly new entrants into the world of illicit drugs by the ever-increasing young population have made drug control very challenging, not just in Nigeria, but across the globe. That notwithstanding, when we look at the trend of drug seizures and arrest of drug merchants in Nigeria, we understand that the NDLA has achieved some record-breaking results under the leadership of General Mohammed Uba Maria retired, CON OFR. But again, we must be reminded that many young people do drugs operate with a suicidal mindset, and they are always ever ready to bear the worst consequences. Generally, the global challenge of illicit drugs is multidimensional, and it has far-reaching consequences not only on the environment, but also on individual families, on the communities, on the socioeconomic development, both at the community, local, state, and the national levels. And it also has severe consequences of national security and the public health. And I believe that Dr. Kenny is going to do justice to the public health aspect of the drug challenges this afternoon. So we must understand that illicit drug growers, traffickers, and distributors are on a mission, and the mission is to destroy lives and the environment just for their own personal gain. So they don't care about any other thing. So this conversation this afternoon will be limited to illicit drugs and environmental crimes. So we'll be looking at 3 environmental crimes associated with illicit drugs. One is deforestation. The second one is wildlife poaching. and the last one is environmental pollution. So specifically, we will be looking at the nexus between illicit drugs and the crimes, the harms associated with the crimes, and the alternative solutions the NDLA is exploring to mitigate these harms that are associated with illicit drugs in Nigeria. So first we look at deforestation. From my knowledge of environmental science and as a soil scientist, I understand that every plant has some kind of environmental suitability requirements under which they grow and produce optimally. And in the absence of these environmental requirements, you discover that the plants do poorly. And even it's the same thing with humans too. There are certain environmental conditions under some of us as humans cannot survive. And these are the environmental requirements for the plants to do well include the soil and the climatic factors. So, for example, for coca plants, no cocoa, opium poppy, and cannabis to do well, the environment is required to be modified, and this modification is through the practice of deforestation. Now, let's look at the data of illicit cannabis cultivation in Nigeria. In 2013 and 2014, when the NDLA destroyed 847 and 4,529 hectares of cannabis plantations, respectively. And when you look at this data, it's representative of a staggering 434% of illicit cannabis cultivation in 2014 over 2013. So, in analyzing this data, it's very clear that many small rural farmers in vulnerable communities abandoned food crops in 2013 for illicit farming in 2014, just because of the large profits that are attached to it. We also saw in the cannabis cultivation survey carried out by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, and that report was published in the year 2022. And the report revealed that there were about 8,900 hectares of cannabis cultivation in 6 southern states of Nigeria. Now, this practice, which was reported by the UNODC, represents 8,900 hectares of forest land that was required to be cleared for illicit cropping. This is per year. And when you translate it, it amounts to 89,000 hectares of forest land in 10 progressive years. And since the appointment of General Marwa as the CCO of NDLA in 2021, thousands of hectares of illicit cannabis plantations have also been discovered and destroyed by the NDLA operatives. Specifically, we have states like Ekiti, Ondo, Ogun, Oyo, and Osun in the southwestern Nigeria, along with Delta and Edo states in south Nigeria that have become hotspots for illicit cannabis farming. But again, we look at it and we discover that due to enforcement pressures on these illicit growers in southern Nigeria, the illicit farmers have extended their territories to almost all the states in northern Nigeria. And this will also aggravate the lack of trees that we have in Nigeria, because I think in most parts of northern Nigeria, we are battling with desertification. We are faced with a situation where many youths now prioritize illicit cannabis farming over food crops. This is due to high profits. And when we look at it, like for instance, 1 hectare of cannabis farm may yield about 10 times profit than rice or corn cultivated on the same hectare of land. So now, what are the impacts of deforestation on the environment? Now, the practice of deforestation by illicit croppers has endangered many tree species. And a typical example that is not far-fetched from us is the near extinction of Ivingia gabonesis. This is popularly known as ogbono. We all know that ogbono soup is a popular and nutritious delicacy that is craved by most Nigerian families. We also have the impact of deforestation on the climate. because deforestation affects the local climate of the affected area, and that will ultimately contributes to global climate change. And we have some important climatic factors that are affected by deforestation, which are precipitation, that is rainfall, atmospheric humidity, and the temperature. So additionally, the usual practice of cutting down and burning trees to pave way for illicit cannabis cultivation do not only pollute the ecosystem, but also contribute to the global warming. There are often consequential effects where plant and animal residues from the burnt areas are transported by flood water into the adjoining courses. And so many of us who are used to our local communities, we understand that most of our local communities in Nigeria depend on the river courses for their daily water need. So the pollution of the atmosphere and water sources from the fire and residue may trigger health crisis in the adjoining communities. And we all know that we have medical deficits in many of these communities. So the medical facilities in these communities may not be able to cope with the crisis that may eventually come from this crisis. So apart from polluting and decreasing level in river courses, the level of underground water and moisture required for plant growth may also drop because the land is bare. So other impacts of deforestation are loss of animal habitat leading to the extinction and accelerated flooding and soil erosion with consequential ecological destruction. It should also be mentioned here that illicit cannabis growers operate without adopting soil and environmental management practices. This is because all they're interested in is making profit. So whatever happens to the environment is not their interest. So when farms naturally are exhausted of nutrients after about 4 years of cultivation, that is, if they are not discovered and destroyed by the NDLA, they move on to clear new forest areas. And this becomes like an endless practice by these illicit growers. So now we look at the second environmental crime, which is wildlife poaching associated with illicit cropping. And for some of us who grew in local African communities, we understand that the forest cover provides a natural habitat for wild animals. So whenever the forest is lost, the natural habitat for the wildlife is also lost. And this makes the animals vulnerable to poaching and by extension, extinction. I was privileged to work in some cannabis cultivation states. And in most occasions, when we go for operations to destroy cannabis plantations, we find assorted, fresh, and dry wild animals. So many of them hang on the tree. These animals are often sold by the hired illicit farmers to earn additional income because we understand that many of these higher workers in the farms are being paid peanuts by their masters who employ them to work in illicit cannabis plantations. So we'll also find out that the primary animals that are targeted for poaching are smuggling by illicit croppers in Nigeria are like forest elephants, Nigerian chimpanzees, pangolins, gorillas, lions, antelopes, forest buffalo, olive baboon, monarch monkey, and in some cases even black cobra are being poached. We had a case on December 22nd, 2024, where a critically endangered gorilla from Nigeria was intercepted at the Turkish International Airport, route Asia. The Nigerian government officials took a responsibility to work closely with the Turkish authorities to return the endangered gorilla to Nigeria. So we have birds also like parrots and hornbills that are extensively poached and smuggled as pets and also for exhibitions and commerce in international wildlife markets. So the reptiles like crocodiles, snakes are also not spared as their skins and other body parts are in high demand in the international wildlife market. So the third uh, environmental crime we'll be looking at is the environmental pollution from clandestine laboratories. Nigeria, from every indication, has in the recent years dominated the methamphetamine production in Africa and perhaps globally. So many clandestine laboratory operators have made Nigeria a strong base because Nigeria is seen as having the advantages of reduced risk in the number of transit countries before getting to final destination. And Nigeria also has the advantage of reduced cost of transportation, and most importantly, the labor in Nigeria is cheaper to produce amphetamine, methamphetamine. The agency has, however, discovered and dismantled minimum 3 clandestine laboratories between 2011, when the first land lab was discovered, to date. Quickly, we look at the impacts of clandestine laboratory operations on the environment. Because of our time, let me just give a scenario where water sources and grazing lands are poisoned by the residual chemicals, resulting in the death of cattle. There may be reprisal attacks on a whole community by herdsmen who may naturally think that the animals were deliberately poisoned by the community members. Now, what are the impacts of drug abuse on the environment? Let me just quickly read this. Drug abuse leads to increases in crime rates. High rate of theft, in particular, have been recorded in communities where drug abuse is common. And since drug abuse is not a free adventure, most drug users have no sustainable means of livelihood, theft becomes necessary to support the drug abuse habit. And a community plagued by drug abuse can deteriorate into a sick and disease environment, leading to decreased productivity. Drug abuse also increases the rate of unnatural deaths arising from suicide, domestic violence, gang fights, and traffic accidents. Now, root causes of environmental crimes are greed, crave for illicit financial gains, poverty, unemployment, cultural orientations, market demand for timber and wildlife products, inadequate regulatory and enforcement measures, and underdevelopment. Now, underdevelopment, criminals take advantage of underdeveloped and difficult to access terrains to commit environmental crime. Now, before I draw the conclusion, before I go into conclusion, let's look at the alternative solutions the NDLA is exploring to reduce environmental harm associated with illicit drugs. Number one, the NDLA has designed a robust program and a smooth roadmap to rechannel the resources from illicit drug growers and energies of the young population involved in drug abuse and related crimes into food production through the crop substitution program. Presently, the NDLA, under the leadership of General Marwa, is collaborating with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security and the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture in Badr to adopt some certain economic crops as alternative to illicit cannabis. We have also started educating communities on environmental crimes, and particularly in November 2024, General Marwa delegated us to have to interface with some government officials and even illicit cannabis growers, and that was successfully done. So there are so many programs that have been applied to mitigate the impacts of illicit cropping as it relates to environmental crime in Nigeria. Now, in conclusion, one of the crucial elements of alternative development is environmental protection, which requires collaborative actions. Already, the NDLA is working closely with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in Nigeria, and also in partnership with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and the IIT, as I earlier mentioned, and the ASHNIC Alternative Development Initiative to explore sustainable solutions to environmental crimes, particularly relating to illicit drugs. But then, we all have a responsibility to protect our environments from drug growers, traffickers, and distributors. We encourage landowners to screen prospective farmers in their communities before using their lands. Community leaders and landlords, and of course landladies, also have the responsibility to screen visitors and prospective tenants so that we do not end up accommodating people that would destroy the environments and our children with drugs. And with this, I want to once again say a very big thank you to Mr. Afemi for this opportunity as I hand over the mic to him.
All right, thank you
everyone for
very
this.
much, Dr. Jonah Akolo. Dr. Jonah Akolo is the coordinator of Alternative Development Unit at the NDLA's National Headquarters in Abuja here. Thank you very much for your passion and the great insights. I believe he's probably delivered one third or less than one third of what he's prepared to share on this platform. But I've assured him that indeed in the course of our interaction, he will still have the opportunity to give more. So let's see, prepare to get more from Dr. Dr. Kemi, can you hear me? Okay, pending when she were able to get her network straight to work perfectly. The moment you can speak, the moment you hear me respond, know that we can hear you. But okay, maybe you may have to come back. Just ask for the mic again, and then we'll approve that. Let's see how it goes. But then quickly, let's acknowledge some of our compatriots already joining us across the various platforms. Thank you very much, all of those joining us on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. We appreciate your time with us this wet evening in the nation's capital. Now we can hear you. Please go ahead. Let's take a listen to your presentation. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm a pharmacist, journalist, and PR specialist, retired in pharmacy, as you heard the bio. Good afternoon, everybody. This afternoon, in this presentation, I particularly want to talk about the environment and how drugs affect the environment and the harm reduction we can do. A lot of people around the world, okay, I'm working a lot on environmental crisis, climate change, and all these different things. I'm currently in Ghana, Accra, Ghana, and we're seeing things in the environment that we're not seeing before. It's snowing in Japan. It's very hot in London and parts of the US. It's freezing in Ghana in the morning and evenings, and all these different environmental things. And when people are talking about environmental problems and crisis and climate change, no one talks about drugs. Drugs is a big part of climate change. Aside from the fact that we always talk about microplastics and all these different things, everything. I'm going to give you a beautiful presentation on the places I'm focusing on: Africa, United States, and the Middle East. Now, the Climate Change Summit COP, I think we're now on COP 29, is coming, and I'm planning to even speak at that. However, first, I want to say a few things. Some somber shout outs here. Let's not forget President Buhari. I spent 30 months on the NDLE spaces from February 2022 until August of 2024. And I left for a year. I came back last week or 2 weeks ago. But anytime I'm available for the NDLE, I'll come in to do spaces. Long as I'm available, I'll do anything for the NDLE. I'm a stakeholder in this thing. Drugs don't belong in our schools, in our communities, and our society. So let's not forget President Buhari. May he rest in peace. Like we always mock President Buhari every now and then. We'll laugh at him, we'll do memes. But don't forget that President Buhari started WADA. It was President Muhammadu Buhari that created WADA, the War Against Drugs, the program in schools. So I want to say that to everybody to know. Rest in peace, Mr. President. And also a somber shout out to Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed, who died on my birthday last week. I'm in Ghana for the funeral. You can see it on my page. We just finished buried them. They're at the cemetery now. Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed was the Minister of Environment for Ghana. I invited him to this very space last week. We canceled the space, we moved it forward. You know, it's been very sad in Ghana. They were all laid to rest today. They were on their way to an environmental summit in another town. Ghana has a problem with the environment in mining, gold mining, just like we have this problem in Port Harcourt, you know, suit and all. And also, a somber shout out to Dr. Omani Boema. I also spoke to him. He's the minister. He was the Minister of Defense for Ghana. He was also laid to rest today, among the 8 they laid to rest. Dr. Boema has a speech that I told the NDLA I will send to chairman. Everyone has to see that speech. If you're in Ghana, you can see that speech all over every moment. They're showing it. His last speech in Parliament was about drug trafficking and environment. And I remember him saying very well and very fiercely that we are doing our best. We are watching them. We have aerial monitors, we have Air Force, we have drones, he was really fighting the war on drugs. Guys, you see the war on drugs under the chairmanship of Buba Marwa. Chairman Marwa has changed the NDLEA tremendously. You see what Chairman Marwa did in Nigeria? This is what Ghana wants to start because a lot of the drugs coming into Nigeria, all the illicit drugs, they're somehow arriving and they're moving away fast. These people are very good experts, these traffickers. The moment they see something in Nigeria, they shift it straight to Ghana. And that something is the NDLEA. The NDLEA is at the ports of entry, sea, land, everything. So I travel to Ghana at least 2 to 3 times a year. I cover the elections in December, and I noticed this big drug, just drug infestation in Ghana. Ghana is dealing with a drug crisis, and then the HIV crisis in Ghana. The numbers are outrageous, and it's heroin. They're injecting themselves and they're passing the needle, just like what happened in the 80s in America. Ghana is fighting a drug war right now. And on the NDLA spaces, we don't like to go political, but sometimes it's a thin line. You know, one party will blame the other party. One party will say, oh, yeah, there's some big men that some politicians are sponsoring to carry them and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, let's look at what happened. In the Ghanaian parliament, I'm focusing on Ghana, the California for marijuana, Ghana, California, and Nigeria. In the Ghanaian parliament, they passed marijuana legally for medicinal uses, not recreational uses, medicinal. Anytime you're passing something for medicinal uses, then you're going to have a little glitch that some of that drug will be diverted into recreational purposes. In America, 50 states, Canada has its own province. Canada has legal. When I left Canada in 2012, marijuana was not legalized. After I left, they've legalized it. In America, almost every state has legalized marijuana for medicinal or recreation or both, except one. One state that they keep warning everybody about, Texas. The state of Texas, marijuana is not legal for medicinal and it's not legal for recreational uses. Iman Shumpert, an NBA player, was arrested at Dallas airport for having marijuana on him. A lot of people are getting arrested, and now TSA, the transportation safety people in America at the airports, always tell people when they see marijuana in their luggage as they go to another state, they ask them that they can't take it and take it away from them. So can you imagine living in a country with 50 states and you have to check which one has marijuana legal or not? Just don't get arrested in Texas. The same thing goes on with Canada. If you guys go to the CBSA's page, on their Facebook, their Twitter, whatever. CBSA is the Canadian Border Services Agency. CBP, you need to know these things, okay? Because everybody wants to jackpot, everybody wants to travel. CBP is Custom and Border Patrol, USA. Canada is CBSA. If you go to any of the CBSA pages, you'll notice that the Canadian Border Services Agency is warning Canadians, if you're going into America, don't carry marijuana into these states. Can you imagine this? Having to check all the time? So Canada is warning their people, don't carry it in there. They were arrested in the US, so, and we're not going to come for you. The same thing with the NDLEA, especially during the Christmas. I came up with this suggestion, and the NDLEA has been doing it 4 years in a row. If you're coming from Canada to Nigeria for Christmas, don't bring marijuana in your luggage, yo, because it's legal over there. Doesn't mean it's legal in Nigeria. The NDLA is going to arrest you at the airport. So we have to continue doing this all the time. So we have a world where drugs are legal in some places, they're not legal in other places. But we have to continue talking about this program. Okay, so when I did my drug education program, President Clinton honored me and all that, the Congress, the US Congress, the senators, and everything. And all these awards are good for the table, the cupboard, and all that. But what do these awards mean? It means, oh, I got an award, great, blah, 30 years ago. Here I am, 61 years old, 30 years later, I'm still doing this thing because it's now in my country. So, going to climate change, I'm going to give you a brief presentation now on what you need to know about some of these drugs. Okay. Now, there is a problem with a particular drug called poppy. Some of you have heard about the poppy. And, you know, um, poppy is a, it's a plant and that it grows majorly in Afghanistan. That's the home of the poppy. The Afghan farmers, that is their main income. They'll make, they'll grow, and they'll have those poppy, and they're ready to take it, sell it to whoever's going to use it for whatever. So we have opium coming out of poppy. If you type poppy, Poppy, in Google, you'll see the plant. You'll see how it looks. That little innocent plant. So how do we relate these drugs, okay, to the environment? Poppy is coming from the environment, grown by Afghan farmers, sold opium, heroin. But here we are. Dr. Kemi needs. I need that heroin, and I need that poppy. I need poppy, please, because we use it in medicine for something. This is where it becomes tricky. You have a drug, you have a plant that's innocent. It goes from an Afghan farmer to some pharmaceutical company and to some bad guy. Bad guy is going to sell it for recreational uses. Pharmaceutical company is going to sell it to the next pharmaceutical company so we can get heroin and we can get something else out of heroin. Did you know that we need heroin in medicine because the metabolite is what we use for pain management? The metabolite is what a drug turns into. Okay, if you know anybody that has asthma, they use theophylline tablets, 300 milligrams. After they've used it, their asthma has gone down. You see them going to the toilet all the time. I'm one of them. You keep peeing and peeing and peeing, and your asthma is gone. So when a child has asthma at night or an adult, I always tell them in the pharmacy, go and make a cup of coffee. Black coffee, no milk, just with some sugar and sip it. You'll notice that your asthma goes down. And when your asthma goes down, what happens? You start peeing all the time. That's caffeine because coffee has caffeine. The metabolite for theophylline tablets is caffeine. So we tell them to drink coffee until they can get to the pharmacy and the doctor in the morning. The metabolite for heroin is morphine, and everybody knows morphine. Morphine is a drug we need in medicine. So if we don't have heroin, we wouldn't get the morphine. So this is where the pharmaceutical companies literally fight the government because of some of these things. The coca plant, okay, if you go to Colombia, old people are sitting under the mango tree, they're chewing that just to get energy in the morning. Old people that can't walk, that can't run, they just need the energy. They take the leaf of the coca plant and they chew it. The coca plant produces cocaine. Cocaine can be made into a nasal drop, okay? And this is the nose drops we're still using for people. They don't do it so much now. These days it's BBL, BBL. But in the 80s, a lot of celebrities would go and do nose surgery. They call it a nose job. Michael Jackson, all of them. And the nasal spray that I used to dispense when I was at Johns Hopkins, okay, okay, was cocaine nasal drops. So that cocaine nasal drops coming from cocaine, the same cocaine, and cocaine is a class one, class A, not for medical use until it turns into a certain kind of thing. Now we're growing these things in the environment. Now it gets interesting. Marijuana. Three places I'm looking at for the climate change issue. Volta region in Ghana. The Volta region, if you type Volta region and marijuana, the story that will pop out your eyes. Volta region and then marijuana. The story that will pop up is about school children in Volta. Volta has the highest rate of teen pregnancy right now. 2,766 girls are pregnant and they're 10-year-olds, 10 to 12-year-olds pregnant in Volta now. 2,000 plus. You can see all this stuff. Just Google it. It'll bring you, when you Google it, everything will come out. Just pick Daily Graphic, their newspaper. That's the Punch newspapers of Ghana. Their newspaper will show up. So many young girls are pregnant in Volta. Volta is a problem right now for President Mahama. He's working on it. Okay, but what we discovered was we found school children going to the marijuana farms to work after school instead of going home to do homework and get a snack, watch TV, and go to bed. They're in the farms working. So when the story came out, it was an explosion. Like 3 weeks ago, this story came out. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at Edo State, Nigeria. I hope no kids are going to Edo's farms to work in marijuana farms. Edo is very notorious for marijuana farms. The NDLA went there and burned hectares and hectares of marijuana. When we're burning stuff, do you realize that we're harming the environment as well? When we're burning things in the bush, burning trash, some of you are burning trash behind your houses because you don't have a sanitation system that will come and pick up the trash like America and Canada and UK. Whenever you're burning the environment, you're damaging the environment. If we have a drug like marijuana that's illegal in Nigeria and people continue to commit these environmental crimes by actually planting it and knowing that the government is coming for it later, they risk it, and the government is going to end up burning it. Then we have all these fossil fuels and all this smoke and all this different, and this is marijuana smoke that people can inhale and be coughing and all that. They're not getting high. Oh. I hear all those marijuana jokes. Oh, they'll be getting high. No, even the NDLA guys burning it, they're wearing mask upon mask. These things are not healthy for you. Marijuana is not healthy for you. The medicinal marijuana that everybody's shouting about, it's not the same grade as this thing called loud that everybody's talking about. Now, when I was in Nigeria, we were talking about Canadian Loud, the one coming from Canada. Now, the NGLE said they're seizing Ghana Loud. That's a new brand now on the street. Do you know where that Ghana Loud is coming from? Right here in Ghana. So now we have a bigger problem. Okay, before we have all the louds of every country, Canadian Loud, Ghana Loud, this one Loud, Edo Loud, local Loud. The third place is California. If you Google California marijuana farm, ICE. Shout out to my friend. There's somebody in here from United States Immigration and Custom Enforcement actually listening on this space. If you Google ICE, okay, everybody hears about ICE. President Trump's enforcement, blah blah blah. I do a lot of work and promoting of the Trump administration, and the State Department works for Africans so that Africans will see what the State Department is doing. The U.S. media. Somebody that shouldn't have been killed. Nobody should be killed at anywhere. Somebody that shouldn't have been killed. Nobody should be killed at anywhere. It was just a crazy day. That person had arms and they were trying to shoot at the ICE officers and they ended up shooting someone. Now, at the end of the day, if you look at Volta, Edo, and California, we're looking at a region of a country in Africa, Ghana, a state in Nigeria, and a state in America. What is the impact of marijuana on the environment? The Canadians said in COP27, okay, and the Canadians are very loud at that one, that we should stop burning things. They didn't want us to use coal anymore. They want to eradicate coal. And I made the question, well, how are we going to eradicate coal? In Nigeria, women are using coal to make bole and roasted corn. We need coal. Even in America, they're using coal for barbecue. Who wants to use gas barbecue? Blah, blah, blah. The Canadians said we shouldn't burn things, we shouldn't burn things. But now they themselves have legalized marijuana. Is that their way of saying, okay, we won't be burning things anymore, so let's just legalize it? People think that harm reduction means legalizing drugs. No. The very same Canada legalized small quantities of cocaine, crack, fentanyl in Vancouver, Western Canada. Look at how that went. More crime. When you legalize drugs, you have more crime. Let's go to the third one. The third biggest one is methamphetamine. Everybody knows that one. In Nigeria, We had a very bad situation with methamphetamine. Crystal meth, America calls it crystal meth. Crystal methamphetamine, let's take the end of the drug, amphetamine. Amphetamines are weight loss drugs, okay? They can modify them all the way to a tablet that make you lose weight. Methamphetamine is a variation of the same one. Guys, you have expensive phones. You can Google these things. Go look at the chemical structure of methamphetamine and amphetamines. You can modify a drug with its chemical structure and make it even worse. Less potent or more potent. This is why we went to pharmacy school and we can make medications and drugs. At the end of the day, crystal methamphetamine is a solidified version of a mixture of very dangerous chemicals, ephedrine and other things. But let's talk about those two chemicals because those ones are going to destroy the environment. I want everybody to listen carefully to this part because this part, you could be a victim. It could happen to you. All right. So when you take toluene, toluene is a hydrocarbon. It's a flammable hydrocarbon. You see the petrol you put in your car? That petrol or gasoline in your car is made up of different hydrocarbons, hexane, toluene, and others. But when you take toluene and add ephedrine and you cook it, okay, you will get a crystallized form of methamphetamine, and then you light it on fire and you smoke it. The people that do this, they are highly addicted to methamphetamine. In Lagos and parts of Nigeria, they call it ice. In the southeast of Nigeria, they call it Mpurumiri. What ICE has done in the southeast of Nigeria, we found people killing their parents. One boy tied their mother to the tree. We found stealing, stealing from stores, stealing from your parents, killing your parents. We found violence. And what Chairman Marwa did, this NDLEA under Chairman Marwa, what they did in the southeast of Nigeria, a lot of you are ignorant and you don't know what's going on in your own country. In 2021 to 2022, when we started these spaces, the NDLA did a fantastic job in southeast Nigeria with Mpurumiri. They got into the communities. All the NDLEA commands, all the NDLA commands in the southeast of Nigeria, they got into communities. They went to people. Methamphetamine was destroying lives. Mpurumiri was destroying lives. The language they used there, the NDLA used the very same language. Mpurumiri. I did adverts. I did adverts and what's it called? PSAs on this stuff. Does anybody remember like Agazina Mpurumiri, Oma Kukwo, Agazina Mpurumiri? I speak Igbo. People just don't know. I kept saying Oma Kukwo, Agazina Mpurumiri. All these adverts I did. School children, stay away from Mpurumiri. If they give you stay away, I said everything in Igbo and we put them all there. All these videos are on my YouTube. They're everywhere. And the campaign I did was called End Drug Abuse NG. If you type End Drug Abuse NG, hashtag End Drug Abuse NG, you'll see it on X. It's all there. So we did this campaign and we ended this problem. If this government, this is what I don't like about Ghana and Nigeria, the media. Ghanaian media is not doing a good job with the drug war. I've told them. And then the Nigerian media. How many people in the Nigerian media come on these spaces? Why is Vanguard this day, Punch, why are their handles not on these spaces? The NTLE and what they did in the Southeast. Crystal methamphetamine, it doesn't affect me. Oh. Okay, hello. My landlord, Kingsley. Hi, Kingsley, how are you? Kemi. Madam Kemi, what's up? I'm like, Kingsley, the NTLA is on your street. Really? You know me now, I don't do drugs. I'm not involved with these drug people. I'm like, no, it involves you. Madam, what are you talking about? I said, look out the window. The NDLA is on your street. VGC, Victoria Court Gardens. He said, I don't know, maybe they're seizing drug at one house. There were a lot of drugs in there. And the drugs they seized is called methamphetamine. That was a meth lab. My landlord asked me, what do you mean by meth lab? That whole house was empty. were using it as a lab to make methamphetamine in huge quantities. And when the intelligence went out, the NDLE went there and raided it. If they were making those things in there and there was an explosion, it would take the whole street. He said, what? Yeah, it will blow up the whole street and your house. Lives will be lost, properties will be lost. My landlord did not even know this. And many of you don't know this. If you have somebody cooking meth, and that's the word, they call them cookers. Some of you have heard the word cookers. If you have somebody cooking meth on your street, know them. Know if they're cookers in your house. I'm still telling what's his name? Governor Ambode is no longer a governor. I told him, I said, that house in Ebute Meta was a meth house. There are people who will come to me as an investigative journalist and tell me the truth about some of these stories. And everybody keeps saying it was a meth house. There were 3 cookers in there. If you remember a 5-story building that collapsed in Ebute Meta, the one I tweeted, I said, you guys need NDLEA sniffer dogs to go in there. If they go in there before they sniff the bodies, they couldn't rescue a lot of them. They were under the rubble. Everybody died. 11 people, I think. And I said, I tweeted, if the NDLA goes in there with sniffer dogs, they will sniff the drugs before the people. I'm telling you. So no, if there were 3 cookers in those houses and they had an explosion, that's what brought the building down. To see what a meth explosion looks like, you can just Google it with your expensive phone. Meth explosions. Click video and you'll see all kinds of meth explosions happening in America and across the world. The other thing I want to say about meth, okay, is that I try not to be racist. I like everybody. I love people, regardless of your race, your whatever, your country. But there is something I want to say right now that has a tiny little political tone. And Mr. Babafemi trusts me to say it the right way. Um, we don't discuss politics, and like I said, a U.S. government official is listening. But there was an instance in Delta State where we found, when I say we, I'm talking about the NDLE, being that I'm a stakeholder. We found 7 men. They were arrested before Chairman Marrowa's appointment. This was when Mrs. Rowley George was in charge of the NDLEA. They arrested about 7 of them. You can Google it, in a forest in Delta State. They were making methamphetamine. Now, the forest is the best way to make meth if you don't want explosions in the city and on streets and all.
Hello.
Yeah?
Yeah, sorry, Dr. Kemi. Where in Delta State?
No, we can ask questions. Let me finish my presentation first. Let me finish my presentation. You're supposed to ask Mr. Babafemi before talking. We're going to wrap up now because I'm going to take a lot of questions. When you have, you can Google it. The people they arrested, there were 4 Venezuelans with them. And Venezuela is producing a lot of meth and a lot of drugs. I don't know how the Venezuelans got into Nigeria, but the NDLE arrested them and they found the meth lab. You can Google it. However, one of the things I wanted to say about that was that some of the people that were, you know, that President Trump wanted to deport, okay, were Venezuelan, criminals that he wanted to deport. And I read something about Nigerian government said we can't take them. As soon as I saw their nationality, I was scared because if you're going to deport somebody to a third world country, we're just going to have more drugs going on. And if you guys remember August 6th, my birthday in 2014, when 3 Venezuelans entered a church and opened fire and killed a lot of people, Ozubulu and Ambra State. So we have to be very careful. You have to know your neighbors. Meth is very, very bad, and we have to reduce the harm on that. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Now, lastly, before I finish this presentation, environmental drug crimes. Like I said, we need morphine in the medical area, and so we have to have heroin to make the morphine because that's the metabolite. Oyo State, Nigeria, where I'm from, we have an area called Secretary. Secretary is near Shaki in Oyo State. Shaki is known for making shea butter, but Secretary has a lot of snakes. Secretary is really the word for serpent, and that's an English word for snake. Every single walk you have in there, you're gonna collide with a snake. Environmental crimes, deforestation. There are people who come and poach all these snakes. Okay, like if you want to poach a snake in my neighborhood, good, take the snake away. But when they're deforesting all this stuff, all these crimes happen. because snake venom is used in medicine. And there are people coming into Oyo State to just poach those snakes for the snake venom. Snake venom is used in medicine and is very, very expensive and lucrative. The CBP, Custom and Border Patrol, they've been seizing it at the border of the US. A lot of people bringing in snake venom from South America, from the Amazon, from even China. So we have to watch out for that. And also, finally, the environmental crisis themselves. Nobody's going to be on this space and say they haven't heard about floods, tornadoes, rain, cold, heat. Drugs is part of it, and drug crimes. Because once you get all these environmental issues, guys, if you don't know what certain things are, please just Google it. Some of you don't know what tornadoes are. Go and see a live tornado on a video. Some of you don't know what a tsunami is. That's when the water now comes up and takes out the whole city and everything. If one is not in your area, go and learn about it. Some people don't know about certain weather phenomena. But when these weather phenomena come, floods are very, very common. Makua, Nigeria, Texas, and other places, people swept away. Whenever there's loss of lives and property, people turn to drugs, and then the harm starts. They turn to drugs just to cope. Okay? So, to end my presentation, environmental crimes and environmental and climate issues with drug abuse is very, very important. I've talked about everything here today. Finally, the C's. If you type in drugs abandoned in C, you'll see many, many. Some of the drugs that are coming to Nigeria, we're seeing a ton of cocaine made in Putumayo, Colombia. CJNG, okay, Sinaloa, all these guys. I know Trump is looking for Maduro now, but Sinaloa, CJNG, they're making a ton or more of cocaine every day, and the cocaine is ending up in places we have not seen them before. They're ending up in Africa and Europe. South Africa has a drug issue, very bad, and theirs is very, very into violent crime. They're shooting up themselves over there. Drug dealers are shooting. They're going to luxurious neighborhoods, killing people who are major drug kingpins. And we're finding a lot of our drugs coming to Africa abandoned at sea. We found some drugs abandoned at sea near New Zealand. Google New Zealand, drugs abandoned at sea. That drug they found, the amount of drugs they found was enough to feed the whole of New Zealand for 30 years. Can you imagine? The whole of New Zealand using drugs for 30 years, the amount of drugs. So what happens? The traffickers, once they see that there's interception by coast guards and all kinds of police on the seas, they abandon them. And these drugs are literally in huge containers. So when they abandon the drugs on the sea, don't you think they just polluted? They've committed an environmental crime. They've polluted the waters, the fish, and everything. That's just the way it is. I'm done. Questions, Mr. Babafemi, when anybody has. I hope you all enjoyed the presentation. But environmental crimes are very important, and the environment, drugs is affecting the environment, but we don't talk about it a lot. I'm Dr. Kemi Oluloyo. Thank you. I can't hear you. Can people hear me? If you can hear me, please press 100. Press 100 like this if you can hear me. I can't hear Mr. Babafemi.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
done.
Thank you very.
Any questions,
All right.
I'll
Thank you.
answer.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It was indeed exciting and with great insight. Thank you once again for your time with us. Okay, we have just barely 30 minutes and we have to take the contributions from everybody. Oh, is official. You interrupted when you needed not to. That's why we have to remove you initially. Please always wait. We did read out the rules of engagement on this platform, and so please always wait till you are called to speak before you unmute yourself. But I've had to approve you again. Please remain muted until we start inviting individuals. But quickly, let's recognize some of our compatriots here on this platform. Like I was saying before, we appreciate all of those joining us on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. Thank you for your time. And for those on X here with us, thank you for being here. We have Aliu Mokhtar Usman. Thank you. King Zanga. Thank you. Funsho Jimo, thank you. Mohammed Bafo, thank you. Isaiah Ashimogu, thank you. Sherry Yusuf, thank you. Prince Isaac, Iransha Eledumare. Health situations, that's Ngozi there. That's Ngozi Ibe, thank you very much. Ngozi there. We also have Sadiq Sulaiman, thank you. Unpopular and Saxi, thank you. Ralph, Fiyifoluwa, Afia, Philemon, Jalaka, Dak Diamond, Princess Eshimokai. Princess Eshimokai is a military officer, U.S. military officer, and serving, I guess, somewhere in Asia. Thank you, Princess Shimokai, for finding time despite the huge time difference to be part of this conversation. Lambert, thank you, Dr. James Komolafe. Is already on the speaker's corner and he will speak soon. Sidra Shane Escrow, thank you. I believe that's the name of an organization or person. Thank you very much. Senator Mohammed Amir Aminu, thank you. Kenny Ario, thank you. Tarin Hernandez, Emmanuel Lakonzo, Salaudin Suleiman, IBK, Bashir Ibrahim, a senior officer of the agency, Deputy Director, Drug Demand Reduction. Thank you, Bashir. Patience Yusuf, Beautiful Flower. Thank you. Adekunle Adewale, Uti, Joy Esagbedo, Dan Lawrence. Thank you. Dan Lawrence, thank you, Dan. Kolade Esther, Priye, Engineer Kende, Oweye, Great Grace in Abundance, thank you, Pascal Ewebu, and many more that we've not been able to, call you or acknowledge you, not that we don't regard you, but then because of our time, we have to pause it then, and if we still have more time, we'll definitely appreciate more people. Once again, we appreciate everyone joining us on this conversation today. Quickly, let's get some reactions, contributions. Let's make them sharp. Okay, let's start from Dr. James Komolafe. Dr. James, please go ahead, unmute yourself, and let's hear from you.
Thank you so very much to Dr.
Yeah.
Kolo and to my sister, Dr. Kemi Olunloyo. I have a similar question for both of them while I listen with rapt attention to their exposition on this critical nexus between illicit drugs and environmental crisis. Now, my question to Dr. Kolo is having listened, what are the preventive stroke intervention framework appeal possibly he had developed over the years to ensure that we don't just stop at litigation or making all those people culpable planting all those illicit drugs and causing forest deforestation and degradation to soil content so that they don't just see us and keep running away. Are there things like a carrot approach through entreaty, diplomacy, and all that to also win them so that instead of running away because of being culpable and going to another place, we can really just judge up with them. Possibly we could convert some of them through some certain appeal, some certain method, whereby they will not have to go and grow this thing. That can reduce it. Then to Dr. Kemi Olunloyo, well done plentifully. You are all over the place doing great work there. Kudos to
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
When you mention what happened in Ghana and what is going on over 12-year-old ladies and all of that getting pregnant, have you developed or come up with a preventive framework analysis by which we can possibly collaborate with NDLEA to see how to hinder, prevent such things from happening in Nigeria, for example, especially in
Okay.
the great areas of vulnerability, so that we don't wait to treat when we can prevent? Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll give you my brief answer. Dr. Komalafe, what I came to do in Ghana initially in 2024 was the HIV program because I'm a pro-care pharmacist in America, and in my bio it said HIV expert. So I don't want to swing away from the topic, but we do have a very high amount of Nigerian women in Ghana. That's why I went, that are openly prostituting in their country, and I wanted to talk about that. That's why I went to meet with them. In the process, I found their numbers, Ghana HIV Commission. You can see the numbers on their website that the HIV was quite high overall. And I wanted to see the contribution of some of our girls coming in. I mean, by the planes and everything, because it's not a job. It's really bad. But eventually, when I saw a particular figure and I saw 2007 and something girls who were 12, 10 to 12 years old in Volta region, I now went and said, wait, this is the same region where kids are going to work at the marijuana farms. When you have kids who are getting pregnant at 10 to 12 years old, okay, first of all, in Nigeria, you asked a good question, Dr. Kamalafe. We have a problem in Nigeria now with microplastics. 10-year-olds are having their menstrual period in Nigeria now. The average age for that now is 10 because a lot of these kids are eating what we didn't eat. A lot of their foods have microplastics and a lot of their snacks have microplastics. So when you have your period, you're supposed to tell your child that you can get pregnant. Then when they start moving around with boys, pregnancy, drugs, all those things, they all come into picture. So it's something that our women's affairs commissioners in the state levels and the women affairs ministers in the federal level should really get to. I don't live in Nigeria anymore. I left Nigeria 3 years ago. I live in the United States and I'm dealing with another drug problem there altogether. But when I come in research, I'm trying to do this global research and I see things like this happening in Ghana. In Nigeria, yes, we have to collaborate with NAPTIP, NDLE, and I've said this to NAPTIP and NAVDAC. All three of you, I've told NAVDAC that they need to start life spaces. I've told NAPTIP that they need to start life spaces. There are girls in Ivory Coast, girls in Ghana. Everybody's doing this stuff. And then at the end of the day, everybody's acting like they don't know what's going on. Yeah, it's something that they should think about because it's starting very early. Teenage pregnancy, drugs, want to, work with the NGLA with, especially with the drug relation. Dr. Kamala said the relationship that I have in this question you asked is the drug relation. Mr. Babafemi, 6 girls were missing in Lekki.
Okay, I think Dr. Kemi, okay, your network went
Yeah,
off
the
there.
police kept, yeah, Nigeria police said the
Just
parents
wrap it.
never showed up. Can you hear me?
Yes, you just came back now. Just wrap it now so that we
Sure.
can get more.
Okay, Dr. Kamalafe, Nigerian police said they could not do anything because the parents never showed up. 6 girls missing in Lekki. Google it. We found 2 of them in Ghana, and we rescued one of them. What did they do? They went to a party. They drank punch, drinks that were served at a 15-year-old party. They put GHB in their drinks. Gamma hydrobutyrin, they put GHB, they put rohypnol, they sleep off, and then they traffic them into Ghana. They drive them out of the country. They drive
This challenge of mistrust because nobody will ever trust NDL kind of mistake our empowerment program because what we have is an empowerment program because what we have is an empowerment program in place of enforcement. So there was that were right inside the forest. They were called and they had a meeting with us. And they were so surprised and at the same time happy that that is the very first time they will be having a meeting with NDLA officials without being arrested. And General Marwa took a further step by inviting some of them from Ondo State, and they came to the NDLA National Headquarters. Their trip was fully sponsored by General Marwa, and they had a meeting with him in his office, and they demonstrated their commitment to fighting, not just leaving the illicit cannabis growing, but also to mobilize some of their members who are still doing it to come out. And we believe that they are going to be the ambassadors of alternative development in their communities. And already some of them have started working for us They mobilize some of their members. They've gone into the interiors to have meetings with them. Vulnerable communities are well educated on the dangers of environment, on the need for communities to also protect their environment and the forest and the wildlife. And we are doing much more. So we are doing
But
much more by adopting this friendly approach. We are also providing incentives and other some other support programs for these communities. And we will not be doing this alone. We have the support of the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, who have indicated their readiness to partner with us, and together we'll be going into these communities. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security will also have them that go a long way to also build the confidence of these communities in our project. Thank you.
all right, thank you very much there, Dr. Kolo. We have many hands up, so we would be getting to you one after the other. And for people, when we approve you, we often say, please remain muted. We'll come to you. But if you mute yourself and you start interrupting the conversation, we'll definitely remove you. And that's what I've done for some people. Please, let's be guided accordingly. Okay, let's take the next contribution or question from Beautiful Flower. Beautiful, yes, please, you are loud and clear.
In firefight. And it's not even different in Nigeria because, like in southwestern Nigeria, we have had cases where when our operatives go out on operations, they come out from every angle and they start shooting at our operatives. I've also been involved in such cases before, but we always fight back. So, and not just the government forces, there are also rivalry between them. So they always target each other to put some of them also out of the market. Now, we have a situation where a lot of young people have, like a kind of move from one part of the country into the illicit drug plantations in southwest and south Nigeria. And the first thing they do is to radicalize and militarize them so that they can fit into the the violent illicit drug war. And that is the only way they can function effectively in the drug war. But what we do is to also get to some of the barons. And since General Marua came on board, a lot of barons are been arrested because we are not just targeting the agents who are in the field, trafficking, cultivating. When we get them, detailed investigations are always carried out to also get their sponsors and their financiers. One strategy the NDLA has adopted is also to seize their assets, their vehicles, their bank accounts, because one thing that actually empower them, even to be violent and to carry out a lot of very violent activities, is their economic empowerment. So once they don't live to enjoy their economic or whatever assets they have, their powers is also weakened. And the rate at which they get violent is also diminished. And I do hope that answer your question, beautiful flower. Thank you, Mr. Femi.
All right, thank you very much there, Dr. Kolo. The time is running fast, but we'll try as much as possible to take as many contributions as we can. Let's we have several in our DM, but let's take this one from Adekunle. Adekunle, yes. Adekunle, please go ahead quickly.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Femi and Dr. Kemi Olunlo yourself. I've listened to some a narration over an hour now, and I my question has been asked from several speakers as well, so I don't want to go back to it. But I think there's a foundational problem we really need to deal with. I've all my life I've worked in Lagos because I was born and brought up here in Lagos, and I used to drive. I used to have a counter with lots of law enforcement agents. And I can tell you over the years, the NDLA has focused more on arresting, seizure of properties and things like that. If not that, I'm just hearing it now that they are engaging themselves in some kind of consciousness educational program, sitting with people that they've got engaged with all these drugs and whatever. Over the years, they have been working on arrest alone, while you have to address the deep causes of these people getting into this act. The truth is, you can't in the society we find ourselves now, you can't overcome all these illegal acts or whatever. But at least the ones you have been arresting over years, you are only focused on arresting and charging them to bail themselves, seizing their property. You have not sat them down to educate them that this thing you are doing, what is the social benefit, what is the health benefit, what is the economical benefit? Because some of these drugs are very, very useful. Some of them are useful in the lab. Doctors can confirm them and the other people. Some of them are useful to the health. So you are only portraying the bad side of it as if it is that worse. Whereas we have a lot of benefits to acquire from it. So, but I believe with what the NDLA representative have said just now, maybe they will engage people more in educating them. And we all know that the youths that are outside now, they just don't find themselves listening to what will better their life because the system is broken and everything is as if it's not coming up back to normal because the way the youth are engaging themselves in using drugs is too alarming and it's going high and high. But I believe with what you have said, we keep engaging people in educating them about the use of drugs and going after the ones that are using it illegally and some like that. I believe you will improve better. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, dear Adekunle Adewale. We're glad that you get to know. Finally, you got to know that the agency, while we pursue drug supply reduction, where we investigate, arrest, seize drugs, and prosecute people. On the other hand, we also have a whole lot of activities in the area of drug demand reduction, where we carry out sensitization activities in schools, in families, in churches, mosques, communities, and all across. That you can rest assured. And in your own little space, you can also share this information, share this awareness to your friends, family members, so that they can also get to know. Please endeavor to follow our social media handles so that you can keep yourself updated on some of the activities of the agency. Thank you very much once again, Adekunle Adewale, for that contribution. Let's take the next one from Mahmoud.
Okay,
Mahmoud? Can you mute yourself, please?
okay. Sorry, I wanted to request that you allow me just maybe 1 or 2 minutes to respond to Mr. Adekunle. I don't know if that's possible.
You have 30 seconds. 30
Okay,
seconds.
thank you very much. Yeah. So, Mr. Adekunle, we are aware of the enormous benefits of, medical benefits of these drugs. We understand in NDLA that the most important plant medicinally is cannabis, because research has proven that cannabis has the capacity to heal more than 700 different ailments. So the NDLA is much aware of this, and we have had cases where science students from the Nigerian universities requested for dried cannabis and in some cases cocaine and heroin for scientific research purposes, and it was granted by the NDLA. But the question is, there is no lawful approval for medicinal cannabis in Nigeria, and until that approval is given by the law, the NDLA cannot approve any plant or drugs for medical purposes, whether prescribed or not by medical doctors. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much there. Let's take the next one from Prince. Prince, yes, Prince, go ahead. That's Prince Oyefolu Abdurrauf. Please quickly. We have barely 10 minutes. Please quickly. All right, if Prince is not ready, let's have street boss politician. Quickly, unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if you can hear me.
Please go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay, I want to be fast. My question is: there's a drug in town that is actually killing our youth, Colorado. I want to know the effort of the NDLA towards tracking the peddlers of those drugs and putting a stop in our society because a lot of youth mental health is at risk at the moment. I don't know the work of the NDLA towards it. So that was my question. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Prince. Indeed, I can assure. I mean, that street. Not a street boss politician. Thank you very much. I can assure you that every week we mop up Colorado across our streets and our communities, especially from Lagos, where just this last week we still had a seizure of Colorado, and I can tell you that everywhere we see them, we mop them up. We go after the people trafficking in them, those dealing in them, and they are prosecuted and jailed. That I can tell you, we don't play with that because we know how dangerous Colorado can be. It's a synthetic cannabis. It's produced with chemicals, and it's very dangerous to the health of people taking them. That's why we keep raising this awareness, keep telling people, keep talking about it, and the other hand, as much as we're raising awareness, we also win the basic by going after those who are peddling, who are trafficking, who are dealing in them to show them that they are on they are on the wrong side of the law and that has consequences. All right, thank you once again, street boss politician. Okay, I saw Dr. Kemi raising her hands. Let's quickly have your input. We have just
I think Adekunle asked the question, and Dr. Dr. Kolos, didn't he answer that question about marijuana? Is it why are we seizing certain things that have medicinal use? Okay, I personally have dispensed marijuana when I was a pharmacist at Johns Hopkins Hospital. Um, there's synthetic marijuana, which we use for many things. For example, even the natural marijuana, the first people on marijuana, the Snoop Dogs and um, the old ladies in California. Snoop Dogg's from California. Many people thought he just smokes it for fun. Snoop Dogg has glaucoma. The rapper has glaucoma, and he was one of the earliest people to use medicinal marijuana in California before it became popular culture. Because what Snoop did was he took one of his medicines and started singing about it. Today we have kids in America rapping about pills, tramadol, Percocet, and this is how it started with Snoop. Now you see that marijuana, it's good for the ocular eye pressure. Intraocular eye pressure is called glaucoma. So it helps the eyes. HIV patients who cannot eat, they are hungry but they can't eat. So it stimulates their appetites. That's another thing marijuana does. And then it stops nausea in cancer patients. The cancer patients who need nausea medication, $36 to $50 a tablet on Dancetron.
Buba
Yeah,
Yaza.
report of BBC about cough syrups that is plaguing within our society. Now, I am a local teacher around. Now, my job has to do with waking up early in the morning and moving down the streets. Look at the cough syrups bottles being thrown is, in fact, proliferating the society. It has become a menace now. Now, what is it? Any impact still that has to do with such drug? It's as if youth are patronizing it very high. You people have cracked down on people. Still, the menace now have risen up. What are you people doing towards coping that menace? And relatively, also, I wanted to ask about there are my shais, I don't know, tea sellers. Now, there are some local teas that they are using green off snoozing agents. Do we have also sniffing agent that is also
among your listed drug distance? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Buba. There, I can assure you that indeed, codeine-based syrup is remains a controlled substance. Indeed, it's meant for treatment of cough, but unfortunately, some young people have decided to use it for recreational purposes, and so that's why you see in the last 18 months alone, we have seized more than 14.4 million bottles of codeine. 14.4 million bottles of codeine. Just imagine if that quantity had escaped into our streets and our communities. So I can assure you that anywhere we see them, especially when they are in the wrong places, we seize them and we prosecute the people involved, either dealing or trafficking in them. That's exactly what we're doing. We're mopping them up anywhere we see them. And if perhaps you have an idea, you see them around you, please call and give us the details or come to our DM. Fortunately, you are on social media. Come to our DM, give us the information, and we'll go after them. Thank you, Buba, there for your contribution. Let's take probably the last contribution before we ask our guest speakers to give their closing remarks. Let's take this one from Ben Awokes. Quickly, 30 seconds, Ben Awokes, please. 30 seconds. We are out of time.
Yes, thank you. I just have a few things to say about tackling the drug issues that we have as a country. There are basically two angles, which I believe is the main priority of the NDLA, and there's also demand, reducing demand for drugs.
Both our priorities, we balance them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that clarity. That brings me to my main points. In as much as we have seen the news reports of many seizures from the NDLA, I believe that there has to be more work done on the demand side. We need to see more say no to drug programs, both online and offline. We need to see the NDA pushing for social extracurricular activities, social programs, after school programs. Because the thing about drug use is a lot of people use it out of peer pressure, and there's also a boredom aspect there. There's also an angle where they just don't have anything going on in their lives, socially anything socially engaging enough to take their mind away from it. They say there's a saying, they say the idle mind is the devil's workshop. So if we can push for more programs, things like sports and all that, to engage our youths to expect the very young ones, so that they don't fall into this trap. That's the point I just want to make. We need more. Obviously, you need to campaign to say, you need to run campaigns that say no to drug use.
All
In
right.
addition to that, we need programs. We need social programs
All
to
right.
engage our youths so they don't
All
think about these things. And I need to see more of that.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much, Ben. I works there. That I can assure your points are valid, and I can assure you that's why we are here on this space, and we're glad that you are joining us today. We are here on this space to raise awareness about the dangers of substance abuse. So we do this every Friday, and beyond this, we have quite a lot of media campaigns going on social media, on the TV, radio, and in addition to that, we have. Physical engagement in schools, churches, mosques, communities, workplaces, all of these. And I'm sure if you follow our handles, you also see, and our website, you also see all our activities, engagement with other stakeholders. We've had to go to meet with Minister of Education to push for review of school curriculum in secondary school so that right from the schools, right from the young age, these young people can be taught about the dangers of substance abuse and all of those things. Those are all part of our engagement to ensure that we deepen sensitization and awareness across the strata of our society. Once again, where this is not what we can do all alone. It's a whole, our strategy is a whole of society approach. We need everybody to join hands with us. And Yeah, just yesterday we were with the Minister of Agriculture to engage with them also so that we can also find support for people, for our young people through agricultural programs so that they can get busy, especially those who are going through our rehabilitation treatment so that just as they are passing out, they are coming out of our rehabilitation, they are not going back to the same environment, getting idle, and they can get some things to do. You know that indeed the administration of President Bola Tinubu has a lot of initiatives in the empowerment of Nigerians, and we are latching on to all of those initiatives to ensure that we get our youth engaged across board, and we are also working with the state governments to also see how they can replicate some of these things in their states and in their local governments so that this whole thing can cascade down to all the layers of government down to the grassroots. Once again, we appreciate you for your contribution there. Okay, let's quickly, in 30 seconds, let's have Dr. Kemi give her closing remarks and then we'll come to Dr. Kolo in 30 seconds, please.
My closing remarks is that drugs does not belong in our schools, our communities, or our workplaces, or our environment. If you notice, schools, community, workplaces are still the environment. I want everybody in Nigeria to know this and spread this. The NDL has arrested a lot of people, 17,000 people in 2022, in the last 18 months of that year. To by 2022, 2,300 convictions in 18 months, 14.4 million bottles of codeine seized, so many drugs seized. They're now diverting to Ghana. We're talking to the Ghana authorities. Drugs like red is killing people in Ghana. Many things need to be done, and I want everybody to be part of it. You're part of the drug problem. If somebody's high on drugs and they end up killing you driving, and your sister was killed in a drug impaired driving crash, it affects all of us. One last thing. One last thing. I want everybody to go to the UNODC Standard Policy and Practice Guidelines for the NDLEA counseling centers. The NDLEA treatment centers and counseling centers is not there to double cross you and arrest you because you're on drugs. No, it's there to help you. We are in the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime website. The UNODC, the UNODC Standard Policy and practice guidelines for the NDLA. And we posted on my page. It's a long one. It's 156 pages, but just read what you can read. And Brigadier General Buba Marwa, Mohammed Buba Marwa, retired, is the one that signed it off. Anywhere I go and I'm talking about drugs, I'm representing Nigeria. Nigeria first. Thank you for
All right.
having me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kemi Oluloyo. Always a pleasure having you on this platform, a professional to the core, notwithstanding what people say about some of the other things you get,
Controversial journalist.
some of the other things you get engaged in, but when it comes to your
Gossip news.
yeah, when it
Thank
comes to
you.
your professional field, definitely there are quite a lot to tap from you. Thank you once again, Dr. Kevin, for finding time to be part of the conversation today. Let's hear from Dr. Kolo in 30 seconds, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Babafemi. The NDLA is actually doing very well under the leadership of Nigeria Marwa, doing extremely well in the fight against illicit drugs. But the fight is not only for the NDLA. We all have a responsibility to contribute to this fight. And this fight begins with us as individuals. We all need to live a drug-free life and ensure that our family members also live a drug-free life. So we all have a responsibility to come together to protect our environments from illicit drugs and the associated environmental crimes. Thank you so much, Mr. Fim Boafemi, for giving me this opportunity. And I thank everyone who has participated in this program.
All right. Thank you very much, there, Dr. Kolo. Let me give the opportunity. Let me just give one opportunity to just for a few seconds to some of to read some of the messages in idea. Lacanzo LP, thanks to the speakers for good presentations, offered better insight into drug landscape of our African sub-region. To the question asked how to stop it, let's not be deluded. We can only decrease onset and stem the successive trends. Sadly, there is no realistic way to eliminate illegal drug use. God bless you, Madam. That's Sani Mohammed. Patience Yusuf. God bless you, Madam. That's Patience Yusuf. Thank you, sir. Powerful presentation. That's also President Yusuf. That's addressing the two guest speakers. Expensive boy, powerful presentation here. How do we collaborate? Religious organizations in the fight? Absolutely, we work with them. We call them faith-based organizations. We go with them. We work with them. Thank you, there, expensive boy. Prince Oye follow the rate at which our youth involve themselves. Okay, Prince Oyesholu already had a voice. We gave him the mic. Dr. Kemi, you are doing well. That's Sidra Shane S. Very much. Sidra Shane. Okay, beautiful flower. You already spoke. All right. Thank you very much, everyone who has spoken and those that have listened and participated quietly. We appreciate all of you. Talking of Dr. James Komolafe, street boss, politician, Adekunle Adewale, beautiful flower, and all of you guys that have spoken. Thank you for, and okay, Bernard Wokes, I think I've mentioned him. Thank you, guys. I appreciate all of you, especially to our guest speakers, Dr. Jonah Kolo, who is the coordinator, Authority Development Unit at the NDLA. Thank you for your time. Dr. Kemi Olunloyo, thank you, a consultant pharmacist, for it's always a pleasure having you on this platform. And to my colleagues working with me behind the scene here, that is talking of Rita, Musa, Francis, Dele, Mahmoud, Philemon, Neta, Kumbi, all of you guys. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you for staying behind to work with me to see us through this every week. We appreciate you. God bless you. It's thank God it's Friday, as we often say. Please don't let down your guard. Let's stay vigilant. Let's be careful. Let's avoid getting into things that will put us in trouble or that we may regret later in life. Let's avoid getting involved in drug trafficking or abuse of illicit substances. They don't ever bring, they don't end well. Please, let's avoid those things. Thank you also, Victor in Lagos. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you guys. Until we come your way next week, I am your host, Femi Babafemi, and I'll see you there. Let's have Mahmoud formally close the space. Bye from my end.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Femi Balfemi, the NDLA's Director of Media and Advocacy, for guiding us through today's program. For more information about the agency,
e dey very clear the badness wey drug abuse dey cause for we youth body.